Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, hands are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, boom a zoo. Rock chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and the Kansas City Chiefs come out victorious against the Washington Commanders. That puts them at 5-3 on the year and 4-1 at home. They will come out victorious 28-7 over the Washington Commanders. This really started off slow. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be lying to you if I said I was not on edge and really kind of like, what is going on in the first half of this football game? The offense was sputtering. The defense really was kind of letting up chunk plays. And the first few drives really were confusing. I mean, as a fan of both teams, I would be like, what in the world? If you really look at it, we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about statistics and really kind of as we get prepped for this Buffalo Bills game on the road. The Kansas City Chiefs, like I stated, are now 5-3, 4-1 at home. The Washington Commanders fall to 3-5 and are 1-4 on the road. Now, Patrick Mahomes, ladies and gentlemen, he has very good statistics, and then he has two glaring things that really are kind of hindering that MVP thing, and that he went 25 of 34 for 299 yards, almost eclipsing 300 yards. He averaged 8.8 yards through the air. He did throw for 3 touchdowns, which we'll talk about who those connected to, and he did have 2 interceptions. And, you know, obviously the first interception was a great play by Marshon Lattimore. I mean, he really played that ball phenomenal. I don't know if it was necessarily placement or if, again, Marshon Lattimore just played that ball perfectly. The second one was Travis Kelce. Ball literally deflected off of his hands and went right into the defender's hands. Kind of a few seasons ago where it was like the wide receivers were just letting the ball deflect off and it was going into the opponent's hands. And really they were not on Patrick Mahomes. You know, obviously that first one, like we stated, was. The second one, not so much. He was sacked 3 times for 15 yards, and he did have a rating of 104.9. Now, one of the things that I think was really, really positive in this game was the fact that the Kansas City Chiefs were eventually able to establish a run game. Yes, Patrick Mahomes did rush 4 times for 30 yards. He averaged 7.5 on the ground. But we were able to see Isaiah Pacheco get 12 carries for 58 yards, averaging almost 5 yards a carry. Then Kareem Hunt contributed 9 for 40, averaging 4.4 yards on the ground. He did have a rushing touchdown. To go with that too, Rashee Rice added 2 carries for 12 yards, and he averaged 6 yards on the ground. And Brashard Smith, ladies and gentlemen, if there was not a flag for holding, I do believe that was on Rashee Rice, Brashard Smith would have had way more of a contribution in the run game. He did have 3 carries for 8 yards and only averaged 2.7. But like I said, if that holding play on Rashee Rice did not occur, those statistics would have been a little different. Now the receiving, holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen, Travis Kelce, 6 receptions on 8 targets, a long of 38, 99 yards. He was 1 yard away from the 100 mark. He averaged 16.5 through the air. He did have a touchdown, which was his 100th career touchdown. That is including playoffs. So phenomenal record for Travis Kelce. You know, Hall of Fame career, impressive. He really had a phenomenal night against the Washington Commanders. And obviously, Rashee Rice, ladies and gentlemen, the guy that we anticipated coming back and unlocking this offense, really had a game. 9 of 9 for 93 yards, averaged 10.3. One of the things I'm going to dive into a little bit more is his yak. It's consistently, I was watching not only the game on TV, but at the same time, I like to see the game cast. And every time he would catch a ball, there was so much yak, yard after catch with him. It was incredible. So I'll be interested to see how that translates. He did have a touchdown, and his long for the night was 25 yards. Xavier Worthy contributed in the receiving game as well. 5 of 7 for 53 yards. He averaged 10.6. His long was 27. One of the things that impressed me about Xavier Worthy is there was a play that went to the left side, and if you're watching the TV, it went to the left side of the field. It didn't actually really kind of come to fruition on that side. He veered it around, went to the right side, completely on the right side of the field, and somehow turned it into a 10-yard gain. It was one of the most impressive things. I mean, that's what speed does. Juju Smith-Schuster contributed 2 of 2 for 29 yards, averaging 14 and a half. His long was 24. Great. He almost had a few extra balls that would have really padded the stats, but he finished with 2 receptions on 4 targets for 23 yards, 11 and a half through the air. His long was 15. There was one play late in the game that if he would have caught it, probably would have really extended that long to roughly 25, almost 30 yards. If he would have caught that ball, there's a chance he probably would have scored. Kareem Hunt, 1 reception on 1 target for 2 yards. That was in the red zone. It was for a touchdown. It was a 4th and goal. Andy Reid going for it in that situation. He really kind of pointed and said, let's do it. And so that ball would go to Kareem Hunt. He would score. Hollywood Brown did not really contribute this game. And that can happen. I mean, when you're this deep on offense, somebody is not going to eat. And it just so happened to be Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown was the target for the interception that Marshawn Lattimore got. Otherwise, we probably would have seen 1 reception for a decent amount of yards. I mean, it was a deeper ball, probably 15, 20 yards, but that ball was intercepted, so there were no statistics for Hollywood Brown. Rashee Rice would fumble. It was recovered. He jumped right on it. Brashard Smith as well. Now, this defense, ladies and gentlemen, holy smokes, after they really kind of got things figured out, there was some impressive play by this defense. Shamari Connor led the way with 10 total tackles. He had 5 solo tackles, really kind of getting in there and getting after it. And Drew Tranquill, 6 total tackles, 4 solo, and he would have an interception. Impressive. I mean, Drew Tranquill really played out of his mind tonight. Nick Bolton contributed 6 tackles, 1 solo. He did have a QB hit. Jalen Watson, 4 total tackles, 3 solo, and 1 tackle for a loss. And really kind of the shining person on this defense. You know, we criticize and scrutinize this defensive end, the defensive front a lot. Mike Dana had a game, guys. He really stepped up big. He had a sack. He had a TFL. He had a pass deflection. He had a QB hit. He had 3 total tackles and an interception. So Mike Dana really balled out tonight. George Karlaftis, 3 total tackles. He did have a sack, a tackle for a loss, a pass deflection, and a QB hit. So George Karlaftis really kind of came out of his shell a little bit tonight. And played really well. The rest of the team had a solid showing. I mean, they really did. One of the things I think the interception was not Drew Tranquill, it was Jack Cochran. My apologies. Jack Cochran with the interception. In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Dan Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest. She delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience, and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time home buyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. Now, the special teams, I still think that there's a lot of improvement that needs to be had from this special teams. Often when it's a punt return, for whatever reason, we are getting a ton of penalties, a lot of blocking the backs, a lot of holding. You know, we're getting guys that are actually kind of breaking off, and a lot of the time it's Nico Remigio, but then the ball has to come back because the laundry hits the field. So I really would like to see Dave Tobe kind of get after it a little bit in the special teams room and really get these guys squared away, because there are a ton of mistakes still had on this special teams. And when you go into an opposing, stadium like you're about to in Buffalo, you're not going to be able to make these types of mistakes. Yardage is very important. So you're really going to have to step up the game, especially in the special teams. Harrison Butker did not have any field goals, but he did contribute 4 extra points on the touchdowns, and Matt Arise would only kick 1 time. Now, I do want to give props on the other side of the football to Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota played very well for an injured Jaden Daniels. He was 21 of 30 for 213 yards. He did have a touchdown, 2 interceptions. A very similar situation with the deflections. Marcus Mariota, ladies and gentlemen, played a very good football game. He was sacked twice, like we stated, and he had a rating of 73.3. He would rush for also 8 carries for 28 yards. He only averaged 3.5. A lot of those were scrambling when the play would break down. So Mariota was able to get out. That's something that Spags really talked about in the pregame, really kind of leading up to this game, was they're really not changing their scheme or their planning for this game, specifically because Mariota still kind of fits the mold of what Jaden Daniels likes to do. Just not as quick and obviously as elusive, but still provides that same aspect. One of the biggest things that this defense did yet again, granted they gave up 60 yards on the ground, but ladies and gentlemen, they absolutely just decimated the run game for the Washington Commanders. You know, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt had 9 carries for 25 yards. He only averaged 2.8 yards on the ground, and his long was for 5. Jeremy McNichols was 1 carry for 4 yards. He averaged 4, so obviously the 4 and 4 makes sense. Chris Rodriguez only had 1 carry for 2 yards, the Kentucky product. Then Deebo Samuel had 1 carry for 1 yard. So really, you're not seeing a whole lot of, contribution from that running attack. And that's really kind of a hit, and something I talked about before this game was if they could establish the run and really kind of decimate the play clock and the overall time of possession, then there was a chance this Washington Commanders team could pull out a victory. And to be honest with you, how the first half was going, it really had Chiefs fans on edge because of that. I mean, this team was driving the football, they were managing the clock, and they would just make silly mistakes. Deebo Samuel with the ball just bouncing right off of his visor and going into the defender's hands. Mike Dana, and then obviously the late interception. Outside of that, the receiving group really kind of contributed in a decent amount. Jeremy McNichols, obviously the backup running back, had 5 receptions. He led the way on 6 targets for 64 yards, 12.8 average. His long was 24. Terry McLaurin, 3 receptions on 4 targets with 54 yards. 18 was his average. He did have a touchdown. Scary Terry would go out of the game. It sounded like it was a quad injury. So really late in the game, he just did not return. Luke McCaffrey contributed 3 on 3 for 24 yards, averaging 8. John Bates, 1 reception for 1 target for 22 yards. Ben Sinnott, a Kansas State product, had 1 reception for 22 yards. The backup tight end, Zach Ertz, 4 of 6 for 16 yards, only averaged 4. He had a ball that it was late in the game, and the Chiefs really kind of zero blitzed in a way almost. I think maybe it wasn't specifically a zero blitz, because I do think that there was somebody back in defense, but it was treated like a zero. Zach Ertz just let the ball deflect off of his hands, and I think Chris Roland Wallace actually almost intercepted that football. Deebo did not contribute at all. I mean, you go out and you pay Deebo to come in and contribute. He only had 3 receptions, 6 targets for 11 yards. And 3.7. So really just not a whole lot of contribution in some of your bigger talented guys. Just not there. Now, there were some significant players on their defense. On Martin, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely had a game. 14 total tackles, 10 solo tackles. Bobby Wagner, the seasoned veteran that is continuously finding youth, is out there just having a football game. Again, 10 total tackles, 7 solo tackles. He did have a pass deflection. I do think Bobby Wagner might have got one of those too. Jeremy Reeves, 7 total tackles, 6 solo tackles. He had 2 tackles for a loss. One of the guys that I was really looking to see how he played tonight, because I have him in fantasy, Frankie Louvu, he just wasn't all in. 3 total tackles, 2 solo tackles. There was a decent amount of QB hits, though. They had 7 QB hits. They would have 3 sacks. 2 of those came from Jacob Martin. Jacob Martin was taking advantage of our first round pick, Josh Simmons, not being in attendance. He would get really the best of our left tackle, and he just had an absolute phenomenal game. Now, like we stated, Bobby Wagner did get the interception off the tip of Travis Kelce. Marshawn Lattimore would have the interception, like I stated previously, and really, that was the football game, ladies and gentlemen. So it really transpired. It was 0-0 in the first quarter. The second quarter was 7-7. And like I said, it was just a very stagnated first half. If you look at it, the first quarter, it started out with an interception because of the deflection off of the visor of Deebo Samuel. That was a 9-play, 39-yard drive. It was 5 minutes and 18 seconds off the clock, and then it turned over to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs would then give it right back after 9 plays, 42 yards, 4 minutes and 7 seconds burned off the clock. That would be the Marshawn Lattimore interception. Then the Washington Commanders did not take advantage of that, and they would turn it over on downs after going 8 plays of 58 yards, 4 minutes and 34 seconds coming off the clock. That would completely wipe out the first quarter. So 0-0, just not a whole lot of excitement. Really, it kind of had both teams on edge, because there for a while it felt like the Commanders were in this game. It would start off with an interception. The Kansas City Chiefs, 6 plays, 17 yards, 3 minutes and 2 seconds off the clock. That interception was a Travis Kelce deflection that would go to Bobby Wagner. But then yet again, the Washington Commanders did not take advantage of that opportunity, and they would turn it over on downs, going 5 plays for 31 yards and only burning 2:34 off the clock. Then the Kansas City Chiefs would finally break the levee. They would get on the board, and that was a Kareem Hunt touchdown, 9 plays, 72 yards, 439. But then the Commanders would respond in 10 plays, 66 yards, burning 4:48 off the clock. It would result in a touchdown at a 7-7 tie, and we would go to halftime. After that, ladies and gentlemen, the Kansas City Chiefs came out and just poured it on. It was an immediate 8-play, 80-yard drive that took off 4:48 off the clock. That got them to 14 points. The Commanders would punt, then immediately another touchdown, 8 plays, 75 yards, 4:45 off the clock. That put the Chiefs up 21-7. The Commanders would yet again punt, and the Kansas City Chiefs would score yet again another touchdown, 28-7. Finally wrapping up this game. And so as you can see, that is really how this game transpired. We are getting ready to head to Buffalo, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a tough game. It always is. The Buffalo Bills are coming off of a big-time win against the Carolina Panthers, where we saw James Cook absolutely erupted against that Carolina team. So I really think that's going to be the focus heading into this game, is obviously containing Josh Allen, and really kind of stifling what would be James Cook. I'm excited for this football game. I think it's going to be an absolute showdown like it always is. It's a good thing the Kansas City Chiefs come out victorious in this one, because they are now kind of back in that race when it comes to the playoffs. And obviously with the division, the AFC West, really competing and having a good solid showing this weekend. It's, the Kansas City Chiefs needed to get this victory, and this next one will be even bigger for sure, especially with it being an AFC opponent, specifically the Buffalo Bills. Appreciate you all checking out this video. Let me know down in the comment section how you guys, what you thought of this football game. Were you on edge in the beginning, and how did you start to relax as the Kansas City Chiefs took the lead and really kind of coasted after that? I do appreciate all the support. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. I can't thank you all enough. Smash that subscribe button, smash that like button, and I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.